Whatever. The new water heater. It's making water and it's doing it hot. Yeah, man, the old water heater decided it was time to give up. It was just like, yo, dog, I'm done. I mean, it had a good long life, right? It was installed in 2006. We didn't even live here yet. It was, I mean, that's the date on the water heater, not the manufacturer date. The manufacturer date was 2004. It was installed 2006. So, yeah, it's been running a good long while. Like, water heaters typically last, you know, whatever the warranty is plus a day. And this one went longer than that. So, good on it. But yeah, we decided to go with a tanked water heater. I actually went back and forth on this for quite a while. Installing a tankless water heater meant I needed to run a new gas line and a new 120 sorry, a 110 volt line, right? 20 amp, 110 volt power line into the closet. Luckily, the closet where the water heater is right, you know, upstairs, and right above that is the attic. There's a 1.25 inch gas line I could tap off of and bring over into the water heater room. I was like, that's not so terrible. The venting would have been PVC, and it would have had a vent out around 15 feet total, right? These new water heaters are condensing units, so you got to also drain them, right? There's got to be a drain line. And I could have used the old CPVC drain line for the water heater that I had before. And you also have to run an intake pipe as well, right? And this is a water heater in a closet in the second story, so there's actually already an intake pipe, so I could just tie right into that. Like, things lined up really well for a tankless water heater. Cost wise, it was going to be more expensive, about $600 more expensive for the unit. But labor wise, well, actually labor wise, it would have been roughly the same amount of labor. I mean, even though I got a tanked water heater that's roughly the same size as the old one and has the same venting and the same water hookups and everything else, labor-wise, to get that 165-pound monster into a closet, sucked. Luckily, you know, my wife is handy, and I got my neighbor to come give me a hand, so we lifted that bitch into place, which was good, but it was a monster to get in. And so, yeah, I see. Temperature wise, so like my dad's a plumber. I come from a plumbing family. I have worked as a plumber. I've sold plumbing parts. So I'm pretty familiar with the models available and the things that you can do with them. Granted, my knowledge is old, but you know, the principles mostly stay the same. And to your point, yeah, the temperature that a tankless unit can raise is based on the amount of gas, the BTUs that it can output, right? So a 200,000 BTU water heater can raise temperatures by like 90 degrees at 9 gallons a minute. And if you go higher than that, then it starts dropping off at like 8 gallons, and then 7 gallons, and then 5 gallons. And it stair steps pretty dramatically as you increase the temperature. So like on a tanked water heater, if you want to set it to like the B setting where it's like 130 odd degrees, that's pretty high on the controller for those tankless units. You're going to need more BTUs, or take colder showers. or you just lower the flow, right? If you have high water flow, the faster the water flows, the quicker it has to heat it up, the more energy it expels to get there. So yeah, like where you live, where it's cold, right? That's probably not a great idea. Where I live, where it's generally hot, not that bad of an idea. But the energy savings doesn't really add up when in, because I mean, granted, big granted, this is just my wife and I in this house. We don't have any kids, but between the two of us, if we take a shower, both of us at the same time, uh, that tankless water heater is going to do a lot of work to supply us with some hot water. Whereas our tanked water heater, it's not going to do anything really. Just does what it does. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you would need probably a 250,000 BTU water heater, which is like a 1 inch. Actually, you could get 280,000 BTUs out of a 3/4 inch gas line. So, you generally don't have to size things up very high, but I mean, 250, 300,000 BTU water heater is going to run you 3 grand. Um, the other thing about the water heaters is that I live in South Texas, so our water is super hard. And I have a water softener, which makes things better, but it's super hard. There's a lot of calcium. So there's, tankless water heaters where the water is, yes, 250,000 BTUs is expensive to run. I mean, it ramps up, right? It doesn't use all 250,000 all the time, but it has a maximum capacity of 250,000. And so if you do hit that and you maintain it for a long time, it's very expensive. Very expensive. Like there's no energy savings, right? Because you're above the normal use. But but yeah, so the hard water issue here in Texas is a big deal. And water, the way that tankless water heaters work is that it's, a lot of energy through a heat exchanger. Water travels through the heat exchanger, gets hot, and goes out. That heat exchanger has got really small orifices. So you have to clean it out, once a year, once every other year, tops. And so the maintenance is there, right? And that doesn't seem like a lot. It doesn't. You're like, whatever. It's like once a year, you hook 2 fucking hoses up to it and shove it in a bucket and run some vinegar through it. No big deal. And you're right, because that's pretty much all you have to do. But you have to do it. I can tell you for fact, my 2000, my water heater that I had in the closet since 2006 has been neglected since 2006. So, I mean, that's a factor. That's a factor. So we went with another tanked water heater. We considered all the factors, considered all of our options, and installed a new 50-gallon Rheem, high end, but still 50-gallon Rheem water heater. It works good. It works good. It's a pain in the dick to put in, but we got it done. And I did it myself, right? With the helping hand of my neighbor to lift it into place. But I did all of the plumbing and gas work myself, which is great because, you save about 80% of the costs. Plumbers are expensive. I should do this once. Yeah. Yeah. So like with the tankless water heater, you generally, when you install it, you hook it up with a flush kit, right? Which has got 2 valves on the bottom and then 2 valves on the top and then 2 ports on the side for hoses and then 2 connectors on the bottom for pipe. And that flush kit is what lets you flush out the water heater without having to disassemble and do a whole bunch of crazy maintenance. So it really is quite simple to maintain these things. The problem is that you have to maintain it. If you don't, you're fucked. And your $3,000 water heater, 250,000 BTU, $3,000 water heater that probably cost you 6 to install if you got a plumber to do it, is going to last you 1, maybe 2 years if you don't maintain it. You will destroy the heat exchanger if you don't maintain it. So yeah, all of these factors were weighed before I did the install. But man, I tell you what, I was at the supply house for a long time, and I was looking at these water heaters, going, I don't want to carry this 180-pound monster upstairs. I should get a tankless, because I could put that bitch on my shoulder and just hump it upstairs. No big deal. But you know, a tanked water heater, oh, that's a big deal. It's got some weight behind it. I was like, oh, this is gonna be like 3 times more expensive. It's probably worth it if I could just hump it upstairs. And again, like, I was gonna do all the work, right? Because that's what I ended up doing myself, anyways. Yeah, so like there you go. It costs about $1,000, right? That's $1,000 for just the labor, and then all of the parts and markup and everything else on top of that. I mean, I don't know how much you ended up paying, but yeah, like water heaters at Home Depot are $600 for the water heater if you on the low ends, and 1,000 on the high end for a tanked water heater. And then yeah, you can pretty much guarantee that the plumber is going to cost, you know, whatever that cost is, double it, and that's the plumber's fee. They're expensive. They're expensive. So yeah, we got it's a Ream water heater. It looks nice. It looks good. Not that we ever look at it. It's in a fucking closet, but it does look good. The Ream water heaters do look good. They have that nice gray, you know, paint on the outside. They look good. They look good. They look good. I'm happy with it. And I have a buddy of mine that actually still works at a plumbing supply house. And I called him beforehand. I was like, hey, I'm gonna get this one. Is that cool? And he's like, yep, that's good to go. That's the one that we sell here at the store. I was like, oh, wonderful. Wonderful. So I had to, you know, double check that. I was like, hey, is this one any good? Do you guys get a lot of returns on this one? He was like, no, that one's good. That was Tuesday. Man, I was installing, so I had to work on Tuesday. The water heater went bad Monday night. We noticed it Tuesday morning. I had to work Tuesday. Couldn't take the day off. Had to, you know, I work from home, so, you know, I probably could have just been a bad employee and did whatever I wanted to do anyways, but I wasn't. So I had to do my job, my job, and then afterwards at around 5 o'clock, I started the install. And I wasn't done with the install, lifting it into place, taking the old one out, and getting it all kind of situated, and until 10 o'clock at night. I mean, it took a while. Granted, I'm not a professional plumber. I'm sure a professional plumber would have come in there and had it knocked out in 2 or 3 hours, but I got it done in 5. Not bad for a Linux nerd. I did drain it ahead of time though, so that's I had that as a leg up. Good times. Homeowner shit. It's the the joys of being a homeowner. The joy. But anyways.